Yo, everybody! Celestial here, back with some more Minecraft, but today we're not playing any survival or doing anything like that. Today, actually, I want to demonstrate redstone and its capabilities. Most of you who clicked on this video probably already know what redstone does. It just changes, basically, the blocks. It directly changes blocks and how they work. Using, well, redstone as well as some magical properties. So, yeah, you already know how this works, but what are the fundamentals of redstone? Well, redstone was introduced, so I don't even know, but a long time ago. I remember specifically, actually, when I first started playing this game, that the redstone used to look like this just the whole way through. Like, if you continued adding blocks, whoops, it was just this cross animation throughout the whole thing. But they recently actually changed it so that it's a dot instead of a cross. Well, I shouldn't say they recently changed that, but they changed it so that you can change it between a block and a cross, depending upon whichever you prefer. Now, don't worry, that doesn't actually change how the redstone works, but I'll show why this is actually important and why they made this change later on. So, before we get into redstone, what we have to understand is the process of primary power and secondary power. Two distinct things that are very similar that are very important when it comes to redstone. When I flick this lever on, I'm conducting primary power directly into this block. That means whatever blocks that I put next to it will have secondary power. That means this block is infused with secondary power, as is this one. However, this is a block that can do something with the secondary power. So, for instance, when we connect anything to this block, when it has primary power, it will send secondary power to any facing block touching it. Oops. So that includes all of these blocks right here. However, secondary power is different in the fact that it can't conduct anything else other than that. You're never going to see something like this. This doesn't make any sense. This, when powered, isn't going to turn anything on. Even though this block has secondary power, the only blocks that are affected by secondary power are blocks themselves that, can do something with redstone. Of course, primary power and secondary power do the same thing. I can inflict this block with primary power, which means that this, whatever capabilities that it has, it will do, as well as any blocks adjacent to it, because now this block that has primary power is giving these blocks secondary power. So that is very important. That's basically the fundamentals of redstone, and that is the most important thing to know. Now, another extremely important thing to know is actually the redstone cross, or the redstone dot. Whichever you prefer. Same, different name, but same thing. The redstone dot is actually very different as opposed to the redstone stream, or the redstone line, however you prefer to say it. You can actually see I have them line, like how they conduct power differently, because the dot, or the cross, will conduct primary power to any one of these blocks right here, including the one right below it. Meaning that if we were to actually showcase just how many secondary source blocks that this thing can conduct, well, it can conduct a lot. This thing is looking kind of like a star, and of course this block, if it weren't being powered by the lever, would also be conducting primary power. The block right above the redstone dust does not conduct any power in itself. It's only the blocks around it. So why is this important to understand? Well, this is important because you always want to understand what your redstone's doing and why it's doing it. say you wanted to do something right here. You wanted to light up this area. However, you know, what you didn't realize is just over here, you had a piston. Now, because you have a block right here conducting primary power, you're giving this piston its go around to be able to shoot up. So you may not want to do that. So you'd either do one of two things. You'd either move the piston or get rid of the block that's conducting the primary power. So it's very important to understand the difference between primary power and what it can do for you, as well as what different states of redstone do. Wait a second, what? No. Don't do this to me. I was positive that this was the same exact thing. I'm actually... Wow. Hold on a second. Alright, I just did a real quick Google search. Yeah, this is completely different. If you right-click it, you create the cross, which... Wow, okay. I'm sorry, I lied to you directly in the beginning. Yeah, wow, that actually is really surprising to me. So, the dot itself actually doesn't conduct any primary power except for the block right below it. So any block right here is going to conduct, whoops, secondary power through it. It's a little hard to showcase that because, well, the lever is actually the one that's giving this primary power. Actually, I guess I could show it like this, just, whoops. That's fine. So, yes, this dot right here is giving this primary power, which is giving this secondary power. That's crazy. I actually had no idea about this. I genuinely, well, that's being powered by the lever. I genuinely thought that these were actually the same. That is so surprising to me. You learn something new every day. Onward back to this. Sorry, that was a real conundrum right there. Yeah, you always want to understand what your redstone's doing, and for this instance, I didn't. A line of redstone you cannot change just by right-clicking. You can only do that with a single dot of redstone, but a line of redstone doesn't have the same properties. It is actually similar to, I suppose, a dot of redstone, where it only will power the blocks underneath of it. However, it will also power the blocks that are, you know, being directly pushed into it. So, as a showcase, this is conducting secondary power to this, as are these. However, this won't be. Even though this is adjacent to the redstone does not conduct primary power to this block, meaning that there's no way that this is going to power this block, only this will. So that's kind of the main difference between, I can't call it a dot of redstone now, between a cross of redstone and a line of redstone. So why is this important, actually? Well, if you're designing something, you might have seen this before, actually, where someone's trying to, you know, push up a bunch of pistons or, you know, trying to light a bunch of blocks, and yeah, it's not going to light these blocks right here just because, well, you don't have any redstone attached to it. You could get some repeaters. Whoops. That's alright. You can get some repeaters and turn these lights on in a similar fashion as flicking these up. However, there's an even simpler way of doing this, and that's actually by putting the redstone just on the block next to it, conducting this with secondary power instead of direct power from a repeater. This is just the same as this, but, you know, less expensive because you don't have to make the repeaters, and most of the time is probably more along the lines of what you might want to do. Now we're going to go on to this process, actually, and this is fairly important too, because you can have crisscrossing redstone. And what this means is, if I flick one of these levers, whoops, all of these pistons are going to go up, but I might not want them all to go up. So there's something we can do. I shouldn't use red wool for this, because I'm trying to demonstrate primary power with red wool, but we can actually cut off the circuit, meaning that these now are two separate circuits that go their own way. Of course, you know, I can reconnect the circuit, but, you know, in this instance, I don't want both of these connected. We can instead just cut the redstone off completely using any type of solid block. And actually, that's important to note that it has to be a solid block, because there are things in this game called transparent blocks, and such instances are glass, glowstone, a couple other things. There's a lot of different transparent blocks you can use, including like leaves. But anyway, yeah, I'll show you here actually is that even though I have blocks cutting off these redstones, normally redstone cannot connect diagonally unless there's an open space above it. Because this is not a solid block, this actually will still have the redstone going through it. So that's actually something you want to keep in mind. And something else you want to keep in mind is redstone will not conduct primary power through transparent blocks. You can see even though I'm trying to light up this block, it's not transferring secondary power to here, allowing it to light. Even if I did transfer secondary power to this block, it's not going to transfer secondary power to any of these pistons, making it light up. You physically need all of these to be solid blocks in order for these pistons to push up. And this can be a blessing and a curse, actually. I'm able to actually use the transparent block to my advantage. Here I have similar things. I have two blocks of, well, I have kind of a ladder of redstone here. One is made out of transparent blocks and one is made out of solid blocks. Now you can actually see the difference right here. The transparent blocks will allow the redstone to go through and continue on upwards. However, the solid block won't allow that. If I got rid of this block, you could see that it'll transfer up, but once I cut it off, that's it. You can't do anything about it anymore. So, because I have just a little quick staircase right here made out of transparent blocks, I can pretty quickly transfer the redstone upwards. And one quick thing to mention, and I actually have a different resource pack on now called Vanilla Tweaks, and that's actually just so that it helps me read the redstone levels, because each redstone, well, when a redstone is powered, it initially starts off with power level 15, and actually if you go into the debug menu, you can see that down in the right corner there. And as you continue through the redstone stream, it actually slowly loses power up until it doesn't have any power at all. And you can actually see that even though this, yes, does have primary power giving this secondary power, this, on the other hand, doesn't have any primary power going through it. So this actually cannot give out power, and it won't give out power, no matter what. You'd either need to somehow extend this. You can use that using a repeater, or an inverted redstone torch system, but that, just use a repeater. Because once you use a repeater, it actually will refill the gosh, I'm struggling for words for some reason. It will refill the power level of the redstone. Now, the power of the redstone actually doesn't matter in and of itself as long as there's power in it. All of these redstone power sources will do the same thing no matter what power level you have. It's not going to be like, oh, power level 15 can extend out 2 blocks. No, power level 15 through 1 have the same exact properties unless we're talking about comparatives. Which, don't worry, we'll get into soon enough, but I did just want to showcase that off real quick. So, yeah, this was a real quick taste, actually, just the difference between primary power and secondary power, along with the showcase of transparent versus solid blocks. Everything here is kind of the bare bone fundamentals of what you need to know about redstone. Because with this is kind of the knowledge base that you take with you while you start building projects. Of course, there's other things you might need to know. You know, how do I make circuit certain circuits. You know, how can I throw in a T flip-flop or, you know, an AND gate, because I need this to do something just as long as this goes along, or this happens too. You know, I'm going to be demonstrating all those in a later video, but this video is specifically dedicated to just talking about the bare bone fundamentals. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get out another video soon. Hoping for next week, but we'll see. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, I still hope you enjoyed. Yeah, thank you again. Please like if you are willing to and would like to like my videos. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.